Hello. Today we're going to use the Yoga Tune-Up Therapy Balls on a part of our body that we sometimes neglect or take for granted until there's some injury or some pain or maybe even a little bit of arthritis. And that is in our hands, our wrists, and our forearms. Let's start with a bit of anatomy. We have two long bones in our forearm, one on the thumb side, which is called the radius, and one on the little finger side, which is called the ulna, and they extend from the wrist all the way back to the elbow. We also have a whole variety of flexor and extensor muscles that are part of the forearm, and many of them have pretty tongue-twisting names, and I'm not going to name them all. Just know that the purpose of the flexor and extensor muscles in our forearm are multi-purpose. Well, of course, they help extend and flex the elbow, extend and flex the wrist, extend and flex the fingers and hand, and also pronate and supinate, twisting the wrist. The major forearm flexor is the brachioradialis, and this is located superficially on the lateral side, on the thumb side of our forearms, and it has a big belly in it, and it goes from the elbow almost all the way down to the wrist itself, and it forms a wonderful divider between the flexor muscles and the extensor muscles. So let's take this Yoga Tune-Up Therapy Ball now, and I'm going to go up and down and up and down. This is called mowing. I'm going in the direction of the fibers themselves as I'm going up and down and up and down. It's also called stripping, or since the fibers go up and down from the elbow to the wrist, I can also do cross fiber. So I'm rolling the ball back and forth as I'm going down towards my wrist and then back on up, and I'm going to determine how much pressure to put on the ball. I also, because of the nature of the ball and the grippiness of the texture of this ball, I now can take the ball and put it on my skin, and my skin is on the forearm a little bit on the thin side, so I'm going to twist and wring, move it, twisting and wringing, and what I'm doing right here is I am breaking up some of the superficial fascia on the skin on my forearm. Let's talk about the wrist a little bit now. We have carpal bones in our wrist. We have 4 carpal bones on one side of the wrist, 4 carpal bones on the other side of the wrist, right at the bend of the wrist itself. Now, I can take the Yoga Tune-Up Therapy Ball on that wrist area, and the same thing as before. I'm wringing it, I'm twisting it, I'm mowing it back and forth a few times, I'm cross-fibering it, and I'm not going to go on the underside of my wrist because there's some sensitive nerves there that I don't want to affect with the ball. There's a long nerve that starts in the shoulder region. It's called the median nerve, and this median nerve runs all the way down the arm, mostly on the little finger side, and it's the only nerve that goes through the carpal bones into the palm of the hand. Now, if the hand is kept in an extended position, like it's kept extended back, not flexed, extended, or for a period of time, or it's held like so, like if you have a computer mouse in your hand, or if you're holding a little fine paintbrush or making little micro movements with your hands and your wrist, this can possibly compress this median nerve, causing a tingling and a numbness in your hand that sometimes can work its way all the way back up into your elbow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show a little treatment for this right now by taking my fingers, and I'm going to put my fingers right in that space between the flexor and the extensor muscles, and I'm going to squeeze and work my way down towards the wrist. Now watch, as I'm doing this, I'm also extending and flexing my hand. Now I can do the same thing with the ball. I can press and extend and flex and extend and flex as I'm working my hand, the ball down my hand. After the carpals, we have what are called the metacarpals. We have 5 metacarpal bones that extend from here right to the base of the fingers, and the fingers are called phalanges. There's 5 of these, and also there's some muscles in the palm of my hand and the back of my hand in this metacarpal area. So I can take the ball on the back of my hand to do the same thing I was doing before, twisting and wringing on the skin on the back of my hand, and I can also take my hands, press them together, and turn them around and around and around. Since the fibers are running in all these different directions, so are my hands. I'm now massaging the muscles in the palms of my hands. And if this is not sufficient, I could always stand up and I could put some extra pressure down with my hand on a desk or a table, like really pressing down hard, or as hard as I want. Maybe I'd even use the other hand on top of it to even press down some harder. If at any point there's a hot spot in my hand, and this can actually holds true for any part of your body, we call this hot spot the epicenter, then you would hold the ball there for a little bit extra period of time. Now I said before we don't have any muscles in our fingers. What we do have are the tendons, and the tendons that we have are from a muscle called the digitorum muscle that works its way into the metacarpal area, but then extends into the fingers, into the phalanges, just the tendons of those muscles. But we still want to keep them flexible and strong, because the purpose of the tendons is to be able to have some flexibility in our hands and that the fingers don't fly apart and so on. So you can take your yoga therapy ball, you could hold it one hand, using it like this to massage. You can use both hands working like this, or because of the grippy nature of the ball, you can hold the ball with the tips of your fingers, and we'll get a little bit of extra squeezing, a little bit of extra strength, and maybe a little bit of extra synovial fluid is now generated and created in the joints of your fingers. Thank you.